And we are back, everyone. Those tuning in, you just missed the top 32 here for the World Champions Last Chance Qualifier. I am Gems, and joining me is Fresh Lobster. And what a series of matches we've been having today.
And there's a lot of unravel from the last round, to a lot to peek back into. And we do have a bunch of replays available to us right here. And it all starts out with Ghoster Driver and Never Walk Alone, who had a bit of a strenuous game because Ghoster Driver just running out of resources, not really putting the board together. And we see a big Heimerdinger attack coming through, closing out that series, kicking out Ghoster Driver, but ensuring Never Walk Alone does continue. And this is a very clutch and important replay right here.
Yeah, a fantastic. This was the turn that we saw, I think, leading up to Timmy. We saw the fervor come down here to keep the Gwen alive for future turns, allowing for Timmy to slowly set up for a big overwhelm turn in the coming turns.
And moving on, I think this is one game further. Shampoo going for a big board swing, going for the power spread out with the tiny spear, electing to push early damage in this matchup, and it eventually really paid off because it all culminated in this specific unfortunate moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, he quick to hit the pass button, quick to hit the commit action, didn't unfortunately put the overwhelm on that Kato, which ended up losing them the series, which was super unfortunate. Just not taking their time in such a crucial moment ended up putting them in such a tough spot.
But you see that happen in tournaments over and over. The pressure does get to the players and cause them to make mistakes. And we do see the finish here from Sugon D's getting a W on the Jinx deck, generating the rocket. That was a very dominating one, but in game 3, Never Walk Alone really strategically played masterfully and prevailed with the aggressive way of playing the Heimerdinger deck.
Yeah, the elusives came in clutch, managed to get the removal as well here on the 2-1 and set themselves up for a fantastic open attack to finish off this match against Sugandis, ending their run here, while also in twofold making sure they get through all the way here to the top 8.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Sugon the Easy, but it is also a matchup that is very favored for Never Walk Alone, bringing that Heimer Jace deck with the 3 Vengeances and the Hex Obliterator, if I recall correctly. So many removal options, which just have shown over and over, time and time again, that today this was a great meta call and a great bring into the field of competitors.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to have a quick look at our top 8 players here. As a reminder, only the top 2 matter here, but having a quick look here, we've got Never Walk Alone versus Camillari, Shumpa versus Pat, Aftermath, Arachnid. We still have UK representation. Last chance for any UK player to make it. All our hopes are resting on him versus Dion Jez Enjoyer, which I've been told is Sergei Truvamos, a famous player who's been around for a long time, who's performed fantastically. And our featured match, Sukhoi versus Red Monty.
Yeah, I thought that name rang a bell, Diogenes Enjoyer. If that is in fact Sergi, then it is a true and tested tournament legend and would also very much deserve one of those 2 last qualification spots for the World Championship, but has to go through Aftermath Arachnid first. And to the winner of Sukhoi and Red Monty, like you mentioned, it is going to be our featured match. And we see another strong showing from another strong French player from the LFR team next to Shampoo, Sukhoi. I think they have been prepping together a lot, so it's good for them that they're on opposite sides of the bracket, and both of them have been putting up beast mode performances on the ladder as well as in recent tournaments runs. And as far as I know, Sukhoi is also a very young player and only recently started making splashes in the competitive scene, so a bit of a prodigy scenario here with a lot of potential and promises moving forward.
Yeah, hopefully we get to see the matches up shortly. It's going to be a fantastic match here between Sukhoi and Red Monty, and we're going to have a quick look at their deck lists.
We are first going to see Red Monty's decks, and one that we haven't seen yet today, and I also wasn't expecting, to be honest, is a Kayn Aatrox build. Another mid-rangey archetype that does very heavily rely on these Darken weapons being played to pull out Aatrox from the deck. The interesting one here is that it has a surprising amount of interaction and combo trick. We see 3 copies of Furious Wielder to remove something like Jinxes in the backlines, and 2 Unforgetting Colds, and Frostbites have proven to be super valuable today with the amount of big overwhelm hitters that we've been seeing.
Yeah, we'll see the Karma set here brought back again here from Red Monty. We've seen this throughout the day a little bit, and good to see it brought back again. We see the double Portal Pioneer, which has been kind of common in this deck, and the 9 lives again. It's been a 1-of or a 2-of sort of choice in a lot of these lists that we've seen with Karma set. Again, great control list.
Yeah, what stands out to me here is that there are a lot of 3-ofs. Most of the Karma set builds opt to go for more optionality, play more 1-offs and 2-offs and more situational cards, but this list by Red Monty is pretty streamlined. And the third deck is another Jax Ornn, mostly a pretty classic build. I do see 2 copies of Harsh Winds alongside the 3 Sisters, so also well predicted the meta that freezes are going to be very important in these mid-range mirrors, as well as against all of these overwhelm / big hitter piles. Partsmate Hold stands out a bit as a unique tech choice.
Yeah, the Partsmate Hold was there as well as a tech choice with the weapon for the additional draw. And we see, so again, another Aatrox list here. This is shaping up to be very interesting because we haven't seen any of these. It was not really on anyone's radar to bring Aatrox style lists for standard at all.
And yeah, it is very surprising to see 2 of these in the same matchup, but this is a very different take on it. With the Demacia, mostly, well, it does allow a very different unit pool. We barely see Darkens, and it does also allow very different types of combat tricks. The second one, Gwen Udyr, another one that we haven't seen at all today. This is some serious spice. I see 2 copies of Yara All-Seer for some explosive Udyr stand swapping, level ups, big hits. And I also see a copy of Harrowing in case you ever do run out of steam to just get a surprise lethal.
This is where all the spice for today is gone. It's all in this match here. We started off with Rico with the Overwhelm spice, and now we've got the Gwen Udyr spice, and the final deck is a Kennen Ari list. I know some players watching this are going to be super happy to see this, but this is a list that's heavily fallen out of favor recently, or quite a while back, and this is the Noxus version, so there's 2 copies of Might in there.
Wow, this is some serious bravery coming in by Sukhoi, going for, well, offbeat, off-meta decks that used to be kind of played in different metas, but just thinking, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to play these decks. And in the current meta, I would kind of agree. The Ionia deck, the Ari Cannon deck, actually plays, what was it, 6 recalls or so? Or rather, like recalling the opponent's units with tag outs, with Will of Ionia, with Concussive Palm stunning those big hitters. So I think this lineup is going to be pretty happy, mostly to play into a deck like Jax Ornn, as well as Aatrox Kayn, to be honest, and just, well, annoy the big hitters with freezes, with stuns, and with recalls.
I think it's potentially even okay in the Karma set, right? You basically just recall their removals most of the time. I suspect it could take the ban, right? Maybe. I don't know if that might be a bit like presumptuous of me to say that, but it might genuinely take the ban. I'm not sure.
Such a unique lineup. I have no idea where this is going to go. And what makes it interesting is I can guarantee you that all of these players and all of the players that Sukhoi has faced so far, we're also not expecting to see decks like this. Like, this is not something that goes up in comes up in scrims or theory crafting. So now,
you say that. I definitely have some players here in the top 64 I know that would have definitely scribbed something like a Kennen Ari list.
Kennen Ari lad. Maybe. Well, it is uncommon, I think. I'm just trying to say that for Red Monty, I think you don't really have good matchup stats, and you might also not be that comfortable piloting into these decks, and that's what makes this pick and ban phase incredibly tough.
Yeah, there's the uncertainty of whether or not you'll do well into it or not, which might end up swaying you. It might end up swaying you the wrong way in your bans. And we know historically as well that Sukhoi was one of the bigger sort of ladder players of the Kennen Ari this back in the day too. So maybe it's just a comfort pick.
Yeah, it might be a mixture of comfort pick and just having seen and identified a niche in the meta. What I do like, it seems to me that Sukhoi and Never Walk Alone made good calls with this deck as well as the Heimer Jace deck that plays a bunch of big card removals. Plays cards like Vengeances, Hexbitterators, and here like Recalls and Concussive Palms that can take care of those unique big hitters. And they probably just dodged the matchups that go very wide, like they dodged all of the discard jinxes so far. And that's what allowed them to really succeed on their tournaments run here, already making it into the top 8. And even here, like, just looking at lineups, I would think Sukhoi is going to be favored.
Yeah, but again, it really depends on the ban strategy, right? I can most likely see something like the Karma set being the ban on Sukhoi's side, most likely. And leaving up the two mid-range decks, it's a tough call. Mainly because I think the Gwen Udyr list is a bit slow, so Karma set can get a chance to sort of get the ball rolling, so to speak. Yeah, it's tough because again, a lot of speculation, especially when us as casters, we have not prepped for a Ari cannon.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Yeah, another thing about that Karma into Gwen Udyr matchup is even if Udyr doesn't get heart removed, even if he just gets recalled, all of the stand swaps and the buffs disappear. So it's almost like heart removal. So I think almost for all three decks, like Karma might be the toughest one to face. The only one that would be kind of happy to play into it is the Demacia deck, I think. And even that, like, a good Karma set pilot will be used to playing against these mid-range decks, and we also saw a lot of tech choices to sway those matchups into the Karma player's favor.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect the reason why this pick and ban phase is taking so long is because when you see a lot of these like unique decks, what players will be doing is very commonly, historically, you'll be probably taking screenshots of the lists and then sitting there trying to study. Okay, how do I lose these matchups? It'll be a lot of like game sense from historic matches, from historic metas, where you've seen similar style decks and trying to basically make your judgment based off of that on how you handle the pick and ban.
That might definitely be part of the reason. I think another one could be that maybe Red Monty honestly is just pulling up a stats website and trying to find some matchup stats there. I think that might be something that I would do in that situation. Just use the 5 minutes that I have available and try to get as much data on my opponent's decks as I can. And I do also very much agree, you have to kind of look at the lists and just imagine, okay, which cards, like what do I need my Nopify for? What do I need my Deny for in each of those matchups? What am I going to save my removal for? And that kind of preparation can pay big dividends if you're going into a matchup you're not that familiar with.
Yeah, the next issue, again, when you're playing a lot of these unfamiliar matchups, is, I guess, mulligan knowledge is going to be crucial. We see the Jax Ornn being banned here and the Udyr Gwen instead, so leaving up the Aatrox list on both sides.
Feels like there were a lot of mind games in this pick ban phase on both players' sides. I still think this is fine for Sukhoi. Now you can play your Demacia deck into the Karma set, which is probably one of the better chances you get to get a win through here. First of all, we'll see the Aatrox mirror, but two very different versions of the Aatrox deck. I think Red Monty's deck is going to be a bit more aggressive in Nexus damage and so on with the Buru Cultist. The other thing that really speaks for them is the inclusion of Unforgiving Cold. Frostbites can be very, very effective in a mid-range matchup.
Yeah, and we see both sides here having access to one of the probably the more key weapons in this matchup is the Darkin Harp. Putting that quick attack onto either challenger units or scout units, like the Ranger, can end up having a big sort of blowout turn later on. And Valor here is a fantastic top deck.
Yeah, both players having access to that quick attack is so good for the one that actually has a challenger in hand. Fleet Feather Tracker, Valor, this might be a bunch of value trades coming in. Both players so far having kind of good hands, having found Aatroxes as well, so top-end value. But it looks like Sukhoi has the more explosive opening here.
Yeah, the Darkin Harp's just gonna sweep up. You might have to play the Unforgiving Cold just to keep your unit alive, which is going to be a bit depressing because you'd really want to save that for later.
I do agree. It's not the best use, but it does slow down the opponent quite significantly. It does give you a favorable trade. It removes a key unit, the Valor, and it does bounce the Harp back into hand, which forces Sequoia to invest more mana to replay it.
Yeah, it's great in that sense, but it's again, like I said, it's one of those key cards, especially when you're only running 2 copies of it, that you need for those later turns as well. So if Sequoia can start to rebuild up that board, has one less sort of big threat to worry about.
Fully agreed here. It was a big investment to make. Darkin Harp comes down on the Buru Cultist, now repaying that favor, attacking with a quick attack unit, but Sequoia is not forced to take any blocks here, can't just let this go through. Use Nexus HP as a resource, the good old saying. And now with a Vayne on board and a Tumble in hand, also has an easier time re-equipping that Darkin Harp.
Yeah, and we see the Ranger Knight Defector here for Sequoia, plus the classic sort of Ranger Knight Defector Darkin Harp combo coming down. So most likely, Sequoia is probably going to take it slow, maybe not even equip the Darkin Harp potentially, but we can see if they did go for that line this turn, there's nothing stopping it.
Except for the mana pool, I believe. Well, they can play They can play the Defector and the Harp. They cannot play the Tumble to equip it, which would be an additional attack.
Yeah.
But you can also use that Tumble next turn as a rally instead onto that Scout unit. Yeah. So Sequoia is sitting in a very comfortable position right now, just taking some time and really mapping out the next couple of moves and not only thinking about this very action.
Yeah, it said goes for the Badger Bear, wanting to keep the mana up, I guess. To threaten, I don't know if it's Tumble you're really wanting to threaten, but maybe just concerned and keeping the mana up for a more defensive option for the following turns.
Yeah, it's a bit surprising to me as well. Maybe you're bluffing a Gentleman's Duel, but then again, you're not really, you can't even take out a Kane with a Gentleman's Duel, nor an Aatrox, so not quite sure what the thought process was here. I also would have expected the Defector, the Scout unit, to be played and then put on the pressure. But instead, we see the Tumble be used on the Vayne, which is also an effective way of equipping the quick attack Darkin Harp, but also generating another Tumble right away at the start of the next turn.
Yeah, I'm just having a look. The only real punish, I guess, here would be a momentous choice. No, that's not even enough, right? Yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah, momentous choice would have been plus 2 HP.
Yeah. Super safe here for Sequoia.
Yeah. Also, good defensive option here by Red Monty, using that Shadow Fiend as a blocker to not take any unnecessary Nexus damage. Condemn was activated for a second here, but no good target. This Condemn can come in quite useful very soon, though. But now we see the lack of the Scout units means that there's no full-on Tumble rally option by Sequoia. Gentleman's Duel did get picked up, though. This might be a bit of a standoff coming through, both players wanting to keep mana open.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind developing Aatrox here now for Sequoia, but you have Condemn. Guess if you want to get rid of Kane, you can just play that for the full 6 mana, which doesn't feel great, but will keep your units alive. Yeah. Yeah, the momentous choice will potentially be a problem. The other option is you can just slam Aatrox, just get it down. It's just a big unit. It stops a lot of Red Monty's attack. With the Buru Cultists, they will still trigger, but it will slow down the overall damage.
He will surrender the darkened weapon or die. We will drown him in shadow.
Okay, and there is the doesn't Badger Bear just block? Yeah, I was a bit confused by the quick attack there. The Fnatic is just gonna get removed for free, basically. and we're going to probably see double Aatroxes developing next turn. Do you ever consider putting Darking Harp on Aatrox for the attack over the regular weapon? Well, it's just if Red Monty decides to just play their own Aatrox. Yeah. No. Yeah, it's you get a double attack the scout. You set up a fantastic turn here. It's a Darkin. I'm really curious to know where the World Enders are at this point, because that could also matter a little bit.
To cut through the shadows.
Yeah, it's a very fantastic line, but it all kind of goes back to, I guess, the turn like 3 or 4 turns ago. These defectors have been sitting in hand for a while now. We could have this sort of double attack combo could have just been pulled off turns ago. What is Sequoia deciding this turn as opposed to 3 turns ago?
A servant of the dark.
Yeah, I mean, this condemn as well. We know there's spell shield available, so with through the expanse protection sitting in Red Bonte's hand. So it's, even if you do commit this condemn on like the Aatrox next turn, there is protection options for Red Monty. So could end up being a little bit of a blowout there unless they can get it reduced to 1. You don't really want to play it for 6. Ooh, Darkin Harp is also huge there. Could have developed something like Anaka, which would survive like a Condemn or a Strike. We just see the sort of tit for tat. Aatrox is being played. There is the Aatrox champion spell in hand, and I think, are we just gonna see the World Enders being played? It's huge on Monty's side though. But, yeah. Yeah, it's a very tough turn. I mean, this 6 damage will most likely need. If you're Red Monty, there's a chance you just take this 6.
I have waited for long enough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough, right? Because your hand. I mean, and then Sequoia's obviously left with the decision of, do I use Condemn or do I just play my own World Ender? An action out of Red Monty, right? Yes, it's the Aatrox spell, yeah. this is gonna be. This is such a difficult decision for Sukkot because you could let this go through, but and then you know for a fact that your opponent, Red Monty, can't play World Ender, and you can. So you could set up. You can start your World Ender now. Yeah.
Not even realms could divide us, old friend. Runeterra must die!
Yeah, it's been a long time. We have the strike spell coming down here to remove one more, and the violent discord to remove another unit. Yeah.
Not going to be enough to close out the game this turn. Sukkot is out of mana here. And Red Monty's defense holding up very nicely so far.
Yes, it is. However, Aatrox is still a big 10-10 unit that's coming in. Probably can just take it and look to maybe play a Narco and go wide next on the following turn, something like that. But then Condemn now is going to be effective, I guess. But I guess it's tough because you have, I guess, Spell Shield still.
Yeah, I mean, I think Monty can just take this, re-equip a weapon, which Monty already did, and next turn play their own World Ender. And like, how is Sukkot going to deal with that? I mean, I guess we know Condemn is in hand, and there are some defensive options. There are more units to be developed. Another thing that you have to be a bit...
Spell Shield, so they're fine even to Condemn.
Yeah. And they still have 2 mana available for the Spell Shield too. That's huge. One thing that Monty needs to be aware of is the surprise Tumble out of nowhere. Although it's not really a surprise. Monty knows that Tumble is in Sukkot's hand. Just needs to make sure to not be in a spot where the leftover 3 Nexus HP gets slammed down by Aatrox.
Yeah, I don't see that actually happening here because even if you tumble here, there's the Aatroxes trade against each other. I guess you...
Yeah, if you tumble, you lose.
Yeah.
So you need to play more blockers.
Luckily, you drew a nice cheap 1-drop, which can just tank a hit, and the Aatrox probably have to trade into each other. The big problem is, I guess... Oh, I guess you can play, Pra the Breachwalker. I forget about that, which summons the other 2 units.
Yeah, they are discounted. That would be an option. But Sukkot might also go for that next turn, because if I'm not mistaken, it does summon elusive copies, right? And that would threaten lethal on the next turn.
However, Red Monty's going to be able to have draw now options, has another Aatrox still in hand for combat tricks, so can, in theory, still survive through that.
Oh, Forsaken Bakai at 0 mana is very good as well. Can look for the other copy of Unforgiving Cold. Wow, this matchup shaped out incredibly well. Like, I didn't really expect both World Enders ending up being played and all of those different Darkens seeing some light, being very
Let's
impactful
see if they
in this
have
matchup.
that as an option. No. Maybe skip.
I'm on board with skip. It might, you can consider a momentous choice if you expect your opponent to have another Aatrox, just to have more HP on the block, but we'll see in a second here. It was a skip, Keeper of the Box gets picked up, and that is an option to get a bit of lifesteal onto the board.
With no Aatrox on the board, the strike spell's gone, by the way, so the elusive is enough right now for Sukkot.
Monty is currently out of defensive options besides that 1 lifesteal unit that can be played. Sukkot is playing it slowly, going for the Ranger Knight Defector first. I do expect that this is going to be a setup for the elusive unit.
To me, Aatrox.
Aatrox being played does equip the Darken Blade. Big hitter, but no possibility for strike effects. Sukkot could also go for the Aatrox of their own, but it's not really threatening lethal. Oh, but with Red Monty having played the Aatrox, the Nexus also got healed by 2, so they're now at 7. But the elusive could also get another weapon equipped. I think it would have been at 7 attack. Sukkot instead electing to go to play Aatrox of their own.
This is so tough. I'm trying to figure out how Sukkot gets back into this right now.
I don't think you can.
going for the quick attack.
Yeah.
This gets a single trade. It's not enough to push lethal. You can block quite comfortably, with any of your bigger units if you're. I guess this just gets a bit of heal and like a slight trade.
Yeah, I think you just can't really stop the back swing
And
coming in a
he
second.
just plays the line here again.
After, also important to mention in the bottom right, we just saw a graphic that Diogenes Enjoyer, aka Sergi, actually got the 2-0W over Arachnid and is therefore in the semifinals, and the dreams of making it to the World Championship very much alive. But now, going back to the action, Red Monty is setting up an incredibly wide and large attack, and I don't think there's anything that Sukhoi can do about this.
Yeah, I think this is going to be game number 1 heading over to Red Monty. Sukhoi unable to find ways of closing out that match, and the World Enders, the draw specifically, just giving Red Monty tons of options there in the later stages of the game.
And we do have to wonder whether or not there was a potential missed lethal by not going for that elusive Pra, the Breachwalker, and then equipping a weapon onto it, right? I think that was on the table.
Yeah, technically would have been lethal that turn, yes, technically.
Yeah. I'm surprised because it looked like Sukhoi was thinking about it and going for that first, but then did elect to go for Aatrox instead. But it is what it is. Red Monty going up 1-0 and now has to win one of those 2 games, chances, bullets, opportunities with Karma set with the Ionia PNZ deck.
Yeah, and Sukhoi's drawn probably one of the more annoying weapons for Karma set to deal with in the 0+1 tough variant, because giving tough in this matchup in a deck like Karma set that tends to have more direct damage makes it basically need to have double the number of spells usually to remove that unit. Instead of 1, it'll usually be 2.
Yeah, tough. The tough keyword is the nightmare of PNZ and of some Freljord Shadow Isles control decks. Especially here, it can be quite the menace. Not only the weapon itself, but also the Darken that can be summoned. The challenger that makes spells more expensive while he's attacking. That is also something that a Karma set deck would not like to see. And we do see a very slow start from both sides. Red Monty already having the key champions in hand and also having a Portal Pioneer, which can remove a weapon very soon.
Yeah, the new Explorer cards giving you a total of 5 different card choices. One of them, as you mentioned, being the landmark, the weapon removal. There's landmark removal, there's healing, and there's also another potential crucial one in the keyword removal as well. So can potentially in this matchup happen in removing something like Scout, but most of the time I suspect we'll see the weapon removal.
Yeah, the keyword removal can also be very useful to remove an overwhelm for Aatrox for a while, even the regeneration, and then remove him eventually. But I do also expect most of the time seeing that Darken equipment destroyed by the Explorer spells. Red Monty going for an early formula, really valuing the draw highly and not very happy with the options currently presented in hand. Does get kind of rewarded with a high note as well as Concussive Palm, very useful in this matchup. Currently, things are not looking too poorly for Red Monty, considering that they are playing an aggressive snowbally mid-range deck, but now Sukhoi is also putting out some pressure with the Defector, one of the most important cards in this matchup.
I suspect we're going to see the Concussive Palm come down here straight away. It denies the additional attack, I guess, from the Vayne. Deny the Vayne level up. The other option is just block and Mystic.
Yeah, block and high note would take care of this,
yeah.
and I think this is a card that we really want to get rid of the board. So I'm totally on board here with Red Monty's decision making so far, but unfortunately for them, Sukhoi is holding a second Defector in hand.
Yeah, I guess for the second one, you're going to have to play Concussive Palm. It's a bit unfortunate. So the Mariam can block the Elkin, just get 1 chip damage in, I guess. The other option, I guess, you could block Vayne, but you don't have any burn spells currently in hand. You use the high note already. It's a bit tough. You could view it softening up, but I don't think you can risk that yet. You're most likely playing set next turn just to try and remove it.
Yeah. And set is also an effective answer, stopping the Ranger Knight Defector from being developed. Unless Monty could just go for immediate Vayne removal, then the Ranger Knight Defector sticks, but then you have one of the really scary, annoying threats gone off the board, because Vayne is already at 2 out of 4 on her level up progression, and you don't want to allow her to level up and stick on the board for a little while.
Yeah, so now, since the Ranger Knight Defector mana has sort of been tapped out by Sequoia, Red Monty just goes straight for the easy removal on the Vayne. Double Broadwing is going to make it a bit awkward again for Red Monty to keep the set alive. Could try and use the champion spell from set to stun 2 units, but we'll have to wait and see what Sequoia develops here, if anything.
Sequoia with 2 good options, Ranger Knight Defector or Aatrox. The Defector can also be followed up by the Darken Harp, which will be very frustrating for Monty to see, but they have multiple stun options in their own hand, and therefore, for now, they're sitting comfortably, they're still fine. But this board is starting to mount up and snowball a little bit on Sequoia's side.
Yeah, so I'm expecting a pass, most likely here from Red Monty. You don't have to commit anything yet. If Ranger Knight Defector attacks, you can just throw your set away and then just develop a new one, and you'll still be sitting okay. The +2 attack doesn't really do anything for Formidables. And you're not actually that scared. I don't mind this as well, because this will remove the weapon. You set the Pioneer up in advance.
That's a good point. You're now not scared of the Darken Harp anymore.
This line sets up for what's most likely going to be a tumble, which I quite like, because then that stops the weapon it delays the weapon remove, I should say, because you don't get that action with the slow attack.
I like it. That's some very astute play from Sequoia, really making Red Monty's life miserable and making their options as unvaluable as possible, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's making it really awkward. They're going to get the rally here with Darkin no matter what. There's no deny. Which is a lot of damage being pushed. I mean, we're going to probably see the concussive palm come down after the fact. And then that will hopefully stabilize the board for Red Monty a little bit and set up for the set on the following turn. Or we just see a pass.
So I think Red Monty went for the pass, and the priority has been given back to Sequoia, who's currently considering whether or not a tumble is worth it. There are quite a few cards to think about, like Denies and Nobifies and so on. Sequoia is electing to click the end round and make Red Monty just burn 3 mana, which is also a little bit of a tiny victory going towards snowballing the game. And the Aatrox does get developed here while still having, well, Valor and Tumble mana on board.
Yeah, we shall see. Not sure what happens here for Monty in general. It's going to be tough. It's getting to that point in the game where Sequoia's going to be trying to look to close it out. Has options to rally, and just a little bit of a problem overall. And okay, so if you're Sequoia, you're looking to finish off, as I mentioned, this turn or as soon as possible. And not sure exactly how Red Monty really survives. Has the concussive palm as an option. Oh, drew the 9 lives, which is perfect. So can generate now actually 2 additional blockers. These 2 additional blockers are going to be huge, and just to survive an additional turn. It's one of those games where the game plan for Red Monty is to get to like that turn 10, get to that Karma, and from there on in, if you can get Karma plus set on the board, it's usually game over. The Obliterates will remove the weapons and basically stop all of Sequoia's pressure. But again, it's going to be a race to that point. We're going to probably see a rally coming down again on this turn and setting up another attack here.
Sequoia's board lead is snowballing here. Mystic Shot does threaten to take care of that Aatrox, but Catch is an incredibly useful defensive combat trick. Red Monty is trying to seize the opportunity here, but Sequoia does have an answer in hand if they elect to go for it. It is not an easy decision to make, because Sequoia could be worried about further removal follow-up.
Do you go for the catch here with the Darkin? Oh, no, just takes the... Okay, just takes the Mystic.
Valuing the catch highly.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what happens here, Lobster. Just going for the Anaka instead, going wide. I like this. You can tumble here to get a rally, and then you can still Anaka afterwards and get another additional unit. So it's going to be interesting to note. What do you think, Lobster? Did you just rip the tumble here? I think you do, right? If you're Sequoia.
Yeah, I kind of like it. The cool thing is, like, Red Monty's deck just doesn't have the perfect tools to stop Annika from pulling multiple cards here, because they don't really play big card removal, and they, like, if they would have had a recall, they probably would have played it immediately, right? So Sequoia can be somewhat comfortable that the Anaka is going to get some value through. The tumble does not get played yet. That does give Red Monty a higher mana pool again, but it does also give the opportunity of using the tumble to activate a rally if played on the Defector instead of Anaka.
Yeah, I mean, they had that opportunity last time. They didn't rally, if I'm correct. They didn't scout, scout attack. That was the thought process. You could have scouted, then still got your token
Gotcha.
and attacked again.
Gotcha. Okay. We see an
Oh,
event
they hit
clocking
the
being played.
Nopify?
And let's see if that also is the pull. And it is the pull. And being so, like, overly patient with the tumble might end up getting punished really, really hard.
We see the weapon removal coming down to play around World Ender. No more Aatrox coming back. Doral coming down here for Sequoia means that they're going to try and go as wide as possible, maybe. On the open, most likely. But Set coming down here, though, is going to shut a couple of these attacks down.
Yeah, the set cannot really be activated this turn. I'm not quite sure how many coins have been stacked up, but I think it's just 1 or 2. And if there can be a Showbreaker that would be getting generated, that would be huge, but I don't think that is the case. Instead, the tumble is going to be played. Will get shut down by the Nopify. So for Sequoia, this must look incredibly juicy, because literally the only thing that can stop this is a 1-mana Nopify. Red Monty just happens to have that in hand.
Yeah, I mean, the Nopify at 1 mana, I mean, this is the thing, with cost reductions occasionally, you can get into that false sense of security. Unfortunately, you can't really do much about it a lot of the time, so we see the Nopify come down for 1. Sequoia thinking the tumble was most likely safe. Unfortunately, it is not, and now this set will probably remove Doral and just swinging for a little bit of damage. The other option is you can potentially just try to remove the Ranger Knight Defector, but yeah, it's a tough decision to make.
Set going for the cool invulnerability effect during the challenge, taking out an important attacker on Sequoia's side, and the showstopper does come through after all. So my math has been off, and it was exactly 12 mana being spent throughout this turn, taking out the Anaka, and all of a sudden the momentum is swinging super hard in this matchup.
Yeah, unfortunately, once you've gotten to the sort of this stage in the game, you haven't had a chance to play World Ender. Your Aatrox hasn't really been able to achieve what it needs to do on the board. Red Monty's stabilized, has got the option for Karma plus place your bets on the following turn. The only issue is obviously he doesn't have enough money for the coin, I guess. So you can Karma, coin, place your bets, coin.
That is actually a very good line of play. If Red Monty sees this, I think this is just going to be a blowout in this game, because the way Karma works with coins, of course, and with place your bets especially. So Karma is going to double the value of the first coin, and it's also going to double the coin generation from place your bets, right? So instead of 2 coins, you get 4 coins in hand, and that gets double casted, you get 8 mana back. And that is enough to just do Karma things, and very often will flip the momentum of the game in the very turn that it happens, especially with a level set on board that generates a showstopper as well.
Yeah, it's a very, very close, but it really depends on the action Sukhoi takes, right? So if this attack goes through, honestly, you're most likely going to hit okay and just play Karma. Yes, you are going to lose set. You could play Concussive Palm and Karma this turn as well, and that works fine, and place your bets on your following turn. But the issue is obviously the mana won't be in your favor because of the Dural.
But I can't blame Red Monty for trying to keep this second set alive. I do think both options are very legitimate, and Red Monty just electing to go for the more conservative and less flashy line of play, and going for a more traditional use of Karma and to place your bets with some mana banked.
Yeah, unfortunately though, since we've had the change to the coin being now focused instead of burst, you can't really do like the big explosive thing Karma set used to be able to do, which place a bet straight into the coins and then play your spells in response. You're actually a bit more committed now when you do the Karma place your bets. You have to spend 10 a lot of the time, and especially when there's like something on the stack anyway. I should say you can't necessarily always play the coin.
But I am very glad this change happened. I think that was a very important quality of life change when facing Karma set type of decks. And it does make it to allow for a bit more interaction and not so that Karma just runs away immediately. World Ender is being played, not scared of a deny, but also it just happens to not be in Red Monty's hand. Instead, we are going to see this explosive place your bets turn come up very soon.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like, we have the score. Never Walk Alone beating Camillari. Never Walk Alone doing fantastically this tournament. Great to see how far they've been able to take those decks that we've been watching earlier on.
Unfortunate for Camillari again, dropping in quarterfinals so close, but yet so far only grand finals matters in this tournament to secure one of those world championship spots. And we do see the fancy coin action refilling back to 12 mana again and just allowing so many more plays here.
Yep, you can have the weapon removal here if you need it. As well as the showstopper, so you can remove the weapon on one of them and showstopper the other one to remove it. It's gotten to that point. Karma's down on the board. There's more insights. Karma's Insight of Ages for more weapon, for more spell generation. This matchup usually falls really far behind very quickly at this point in the game if you've let Karma and Set sit down on the board. And as we can see here, not even scared of the Aatrox that much, really just want to deny the draw from the heart, from the Dark Inn there.
And the equipment getting destroyed as well. Yeah, I hate to call it early, but it seems like we are past the point of no return. It's gonna be so hard for Sukhoi to push additional Nexus damage in from this point onward. And we do see Karma doing Karma things.
Boy.
Karma's Inside of Ages generating a bunch of stuff. Deny even gets picked up. A bit too late because World Ender already went through.
You could just play Scraptration.
Yeah, Scraptration would be a good one. Howling Gale also perfectly takes care of the Aatrox. And there's no pressure left on Sukhoi's side. We do see the Shani mode go through. The Surrender comes through. And Red Monty is gonna be our player to advance to the semifinals. So close to that world championship spot, but still needs to win that final test in the next round.
Yeah, unfortunately for Red Monty, that they don't make it through this thing. But I do know, if I remember correctly, there was a potential tiebreaker in points set up for the ladder points, or the overall Runeterra Worlds points based on if Red Monty actually qualified here or not. So that might have been cleared out now that Sukhoi actually Sukhoi didn't make it. Yeah, it was basically Sukhoi that needed to make it to the finals.
We will research that in the little break that is going to come up shortly and keep you updated. But for now, we are going to have to part ways with Sukhoi, which is very unfortunate because I like the creativity in the lineup. And mostly it was very strong play, but I think a couple of small inaccuracies that just got punished by Monty really capitalizing and getting the victory here. We are going to go into that break. We will be back with the semifinals in a bit. Stay tuned.